I know who killed your neighbor boy. He's dead, and so is his attorney. And with those three words, as we're going to find out during this presentation, we got a lead to somebody we believe was involved in Tim's death. My son Tim was abducted on March 16, 1977, and was suffocated and died on March 22, 1977. He was the fourth and last identified victim of the Oakland County child killer. Mark Stebbins of Ferndale was abducted and murdered in February of 1976. Jill Robinson of Royal Oak in December of 1976, and Christine Mahalik of Berkeley in January of 1977. Most of the people who wanted me to talk want to know who Tim was, and I've been very reluctant to get into that in detail. But he was a sweet kid. He was 11 years old. His world was the neighborhood. As you look back on most of your lives, you start to grow up once you enter junior high school, or I guess they call it middle school now. Tim's world was Adams School a couple of blocks one way, his paper route a couple of blocks the other way, and the athletic facilities where he swam, played hockey, and played Little League baseball about a half a mile in another direction. He didn't have any worldly experiences. People ask me what I remember about Tim. And one thing I remember is this birthday present I got from him some time ago. Happy birthday, dear Dad. Best wishes, Tim. He didn't have any money, and when he gave this to me, he said he wanted to wish me a happy birthday, but this is the best he could do. And most 11-year-olds don't have a lot of money. I've told my family that when they put me in the crematorium, I want this to go in with me because I want to take Tim with me. The story I like best about Tim was on a vacation up north when we took the kids to one of the commercial fish ponds to teach them how to fish. Their dad wasn't a fisherman and didn't want to get out on the lake. So I told them to all go over and catch a fish, and I helped him. And when I got to the cashier, there were 5 fish. I didn't know how we were going to eat 4 of them as one family, but on the way home, Tim was standing up in the well behind me when I was driving. That was before we had car seats and seatbelt rules, singing, "I did it myself, I did it myself, and nobody helped me." Once I had helped him catch the fish, he went out and did his own. He wanted to grow up. He didn't want to be the youngest kid in the family. He had a great interest in baseball. And in catechism, the teacher one time asked the kids to draw a picture of God. And Tim drew this picture. And when the teacher got it, she, as I understand it, she said to him, "Well, why does that look like God?" He said, "I don't know how God looks like, but that's Jim Northrup." As some of you my age may remember, he also drove in the winning run in the 1968 World Series, and was an indication of Tim's love of baseball. I also remember the summer before he died, that all 3 boys made all-star teams, and they all played at the same time. And Marion, my wife, went to one of the older boys' games, and I went to the other one, but I left to go to Tim's game about halfway through. When I got to the ballpark, he was on first base. Before I even got seated, 2 for 2, Dad. Leadoff hitter, smallest kid on the team, except he didn't know he was the smallest kid. He also played basketball in the 6th grade. The last year he was at Adams School. And he set a world's record. He shot 100%, made all 3 shots that season. And I also recall seeing him deliberately try to trip an opponent on one of the while he was on the court. And I chastised him and told him that if he ever did that again, he would never play any more basketball. I don't remember ever punishing Tim. I don't remember that he misbehaved in any way. He was sociable, more so than some of my other children, and I loved him. My family at that time was my daughter Kathy, the oldest. She was a senior at Birmingham Seaholm High School. My son Chris, who was a sophomore at Birmingham Seaholm High School, and my son Mark, who was in the 9th grade at Derby Junior High School. We all hear horror stories about how difficult it is to raise teenagers, and then we had this horrible event thrown upon our family. That's who we were. Timmy's mother, Marion, died in 2004. My daughter, Kathy, has created a blog recently that discusses some of the family relationships and her understanding of the case. And you can find that at Catherine with a C, catherinebroad.wordpress. And if you have difficulty getting her access to her blog, let me know and I will see that you get proper instructions. And that's who we were in March of 1977. And we're going to take a chronological story for a while. And first of all, we're going to talk about the period between the murder and December of 1978. That's when the task force that was formed was dissolved. Then, in perhaps the shortest part of the presentation, we're going to cover the years from December 1978 to July of 2006. And you're going to find out that Kathy and Chris got a lead from somebody that has led to the development of this suspect, Christopher Bush. Then we're going to cover the period from July of 2006 to January of 2008. And that's a period of time that Kathy and Chris are going to talk about and tell you what they've learned during that period of time. And I found out they didn't tell me anything about it till November of 2007. And I was very upset when I found out about it, but they said properly, I think, when they got this lead, if we tell Dad, he'll turn it over to the state police and it will disappear. And I think that was remarkably good judgment as I look back over the years. Then we're going to cover the period, January of 2008, when this suspect has been identified, to October the 27th, 2009, when the task force examining the death of these 4 children agreed to meet with my family. And you're going to find out that they did not answer one of our questions. And then we're going to cover the period from that date of that task force meeting, October 27th, 2009, to March the 1st of 2010, when we were told that the lead that we had provided to the law enforcement was not a valid lead. And we're going to discuss about why, to this day, we don't know how that conclusion was reached. And you're going to find out we didn't have any information on that date, and you're going to find out that we started our examination, and you will be horrified at some of the facts that we were found out during this presentation. And then we have to leave chronology, and we're going to get into subject matter, because even as late as this month, we had access to information that I was told I did not have a right to view. So that's who we are, and that's where we're going chronologically, and we'll start with the first section of the chronological summary at this time.